Political analyst Fahim Sadat joining me now from Kabul. Really appreciate your time and coming onto the program. The Taliban says the new government may not be democracy according to the Western definition. So what's it likely to look like?
Well, I think right now, 38 million Afghans and also the international community is looking forward to hear about the nature and composition of the future government to be announced by the Taliban. There is still less information regarding the constitutional opinions of the Taliban. But what apparently seems that there will be a leadership council, and the head of the leadership council would be the one who would have absolute powers. And probably the deputy of the leadership council would somehow play the role of a president, which means that the position of the president, which in the previous government was the most powerful position, is demoted and will have more of a executive nature. This also means that the leadership council will be a deciding body under the authority of the leader, and it has to be large, not a sort of democratic approach, more or less like the one which they already had in Quetta Shura. I believe it will be something like that, but in a larger extent now.
Fahim, the Taliban over the last few days since taking over Kabul has really tried to impress upon the world that it's a changed organization, wanting to unite all Afghans, talking about unity and preserving the rights of women and minorities. But is this really practical when we hear one thing from the political leadership, but then we see a very different thing from members on the ground?
It will be very difficult to conclude now a thinking regarding this, because the Taliban were also surprised by the speed of their development. And I think they are still in transition of consolidating their hold over Afghanistan. I think they seriously need to sit with themselves first, decide on a lot of things which are not yet resolved even amongst themselves. And then they will have to need to sit with the rest of the people, whether they are the previous government officials and other political leaders and opponents, and then decide on certain things. But what we see right now, that their behavior largely in Kabul is fine, it's normal, and they are well behaved. These teams disciplined and are following their instructions. But what fundamentally remains to be seen is how slim the gap between what the Taliban are saying and what the Taliban will do will be, and that we'll witness in the future.
Fahim, who will the Taliban be looking to, in particular, to recognize their government in a legal sense and to help them, especially in terms of economy and trade going forward?
As Zabiullah Mujahid said, that the Taliban have matured now. That means they will not take a step which will deteriorate the situation or will add them in the position of isolation. There are no rush for announcing a government also indicates that they largely care for the international recognition and as well as international assistance, which they know will come only if the international community is convinced with the composition and nature of the government they are going to have. So I think they are still in consultations between themselves and as well as with other politicians around, and they are taking careful steps in order to not provoke the international community. So let's hope for the best.
Let's hope for the best indeed. Fahim Sadat, live to us there from Kabul. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.